I always thought my family was complicated, not in the sense that we didn't love each other, but in the sense that we never knew how to express it. My parents argued constantly, their voices echoing through the hallways of our old house like thunderstorms that never subsided. My older sister, Olena, fled that chaos as soon as she turned 18, and I couldn't blame her. I stayed silently observing the battle that unfolded every day. My father was a quiet man, his emotions hidden behind a newspaper or the television. My mother, on the other hand, was fiery, her words sharp as knives, and they often found their mark. I was the child in the middle, trying to build bridges between two people who seemed determined to burn them down. One rainy night, the argument reached a crescendo. The words they spoke were so cruel that I covered my ears, but I could still hear them like thunderclaps. I fled to my room, tears streaming down my face, and I asked myself why love had to be so painful. The next morning, my mother was gone. She simply packed her things and left, without saying a word. My father became even quieter, his presence a ghost in the house where screams and laughter once lived. I was alone, lost in a sea of emotions, not knowing how to swim. Several years passed, and I learned to live with the emptiness she left behind. I focused on my studies, found solace in books and music. I built walls around my heart to protect myself from the pain I knew love could inflict. One day I received a letter. It was from my mother. She wrote that she missed me and wanted to meet. I was torn. Part of me wanted to forgive her, embrace her, and tell her I loved her. But another part of me was filled with bitterness, resentment, and fear. I decided to meet her. She looked different than I remembered. Her hair was gray, and her face was wrinkled. But when she smiled, I saw the same woman who once held me in her arms and read me fairy tales. We talked for hours, catching up on the lost years. She explained why she left, the pain she felt, and the regret that haunted her. I listened silently, letting her words wash over my heart. When she finished, I hugged her. It wasn't forgiveness, but an acknowledgement that we were both broken, both wounded, but both still alive. From that day on, our relationship was different. We weren't a perfect family, but we were a family. We learned to communicate, to listen, and to forgive. We learned that love isn't always easy, but it's always worth fighting for. Sometimes I still think about those stormy nights, the screams and the tears. But now I also remember the quiet moments, the laughter, and the hugs. I remember the love that survived the storm, the love that made us strong.